mom's a diehard
Yeah.
Knicks fan and a St. John's
Yeah.
fan for college basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're live.
All right, calling order Regional School District 13 Policy Committee, June 17th, 2026 at 4. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment? Anybody online? Nobody in the room, so,
There is nobody online.
okay, we will close public comment then. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second, okay. Nick. Down. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2026 and May 21st, 2026?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Okay, so first, all the policies were in the policy folder that Meg sent out. So first was recording meetings without consent, and this is a new policy.
So this has become such an issue in schools that Shipman and Cade worked together to create this new policy to go out, and they're recommending it. So I really liked it. I think it's very clear, you know, that there are times where you can record and times that you can't, and people are allowed to give permission or not in certain cases. Obviously, nothing that would be a public meeting or FOIA-able. Any of those things. IEP has specific guidelines for reporting. But I like the way that they phrased how much it can affect a culture, you know, when people are wondering if they're being secretly recorded or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, this one was.
The only thing that's gonna be tricky is public at a meeting.
Well, anybody can record at a public meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Somebody
so
could sit here right now and record us if they wanted to.
So this would be like, I guess,
You could like
like
say
in a classroom.
in a classroom.
Right, like kids, they would have to, I think what it says here is they would have to say to like the teacher, you know, I wanna
Mhm.
record, you
Right.
know.
Or-
whatever purpose.
Right, and that would generally not be allowed because there's other kids whose
Yeah.
privacy could be violated, but like, let's say Nick comes in to meet with me in my office, right?
Yeah.
Neither one of us should be recording that meeting
Yeah.
unless we agree to it, you know, or if a team is having a team meeting, you know, somebody
Mhm.
on the team shouldn't be recording without the other team members knowing, so
Yeah,
it is like a privacy, a culture, and
yeah,
a workplace, I think, issue that this will help. This will greatly help with that.
one question I had is that I know that you are allowed to record in an IEP meeting. But it says here, which I also knew was gives reasonable advance notice. Should we define what reasonable advance notice is?
Yeah.
Like most of the time, I feel like people just say it at the beginning of a meeting,
Yeah.
but I just didn't want to get into like a,
Mhm.
well, that's not reason, you know, just
Right.
someone says that isn't reasonable notice and then they decline like
I'm not sure if we're allowed to say like a 24-hour notice or something
Okay,
like that.
yeah.
Because most of the IP meetings I've been in where somebody records, they do just say at the beginning, how
Yeah,
about if I record and somebody will be, okay, well then I record too. Like then you each have a recording.
Yeah.
So I'm not
So-
sure if we want to put a limit on it or if we could.
So if you took out the word reasonable and just said advance notice, that would just leave it open, or do they still need to be reasonable?
I think reasonable is fine. I think that it would be strange if we were at the beginning of an IEP meeting and somebody wanted to record where we said, oh, forget it, we can't meet, you know, like that's not gonna
I do
happen,
think it
you
would
know?
be weird too.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, I think it's more like, I wouldn't expect it now with the staff we have now, just
Mhm.
from my own personal experiences. It's more like from an experience I had in a different school district where like they do say, nope, sorry, you can't and they just like decline, and you're like, but I want to, and they're like, no, and then I think it's just,
Mhm.
I hate the word reasonable.
Mhm.
It's just me, because I think it's just so
We can take it
subjective,
out.
but,
Yeah, that's what I said.
yeah.
Wishing to record gives advance notice to all participants
Yeah.
and leaves it open.
Reasonable is gone.
Um. Okay. It would also, I don't know if this, actually, maybe this is just a general question. When we revise these policies, does any sort of, or a new policy like this one, does anything go out to staff to let them know?
We would usually put something like this in the handbook, and then they would have handbook updates at the beginning of the
Okay.
year.
All right,
Mhm.
because like something like this, like they should know that they have a right to record,
Right.
like as well,
Yeah.
like, reading that there, just
Mhm.
by making sure everybody's like well informed, because it's not like we just have a handful of policies, so I could see how
Mhm.
things could easily
Because
get
so many
overlooked.
policies have
They'll go,
been,
sorry.
because so many policies have been revised, rather than having them read through all of them, is there some way that that's mentioned, like, these are the following
Yes.
policies that have had?
Yep, we did
Changes.
that at the beginning of the year
Okay.
last year. So
So
like
this way
when
they can
handbooks go
focus
out,
on
we'll
them.
say,
Yeah.
these are the new changes.
There's been a lot of
Yeah.
changes.
Have been.
They wanna move this to the first read.
I think that's fine. I mean, I don't really see anything else. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Um. It's nice that Gabe and Shipman worked
Yeah.
on it together.
That tells you something too.
Yes. Mhm. All right. All right, so that's that one. Then there were 3 updates to non-discrimination. I didn't print those because those were all pretty lengthy, but
Yeah.
to me,
They're all
it looked
19
like
pages.
just language and updating like,
Yeah, so they all have the same updates.
Yeah.
So each one of them adds, because of legal changes, adds sexual assault or human trafficking. And that applies to students, employees and community, to all of them. So that's pretty straightforward. And then they also, there's one about, in the student one, it was the biased conduct one. And I'll actually put it up on the big screen if that helps anybody. This is optional language if we want to put something in about biased conduct. And this is in the student one. The board recognizes that certain student conduct or communications may be considered indicative of bias towards individuals who are members of a protected class, even when such conduct or communications do not rise to the level of discrimination and or harassment. The board directs the district administration to address any such biased conduct or communications in a manner consistent with the board's legal obligations under state and federal law and board policy, including free speech considerations, in order to promote a school environment that is welcoming and safe for all individuals. So I would recommend adding that in,
yeah.
because not everything rises to like a Title VI violation or,
Yeah,
a charge or a suspension or something
Yeah.
like that. So like this allows us to have, not that we don't anyway, but just to have that avenue to really address bias conduct in a more serious way.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't escalate.
yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, and then otherwise all I saw were like, just like, I'm assuming this is probably just
Yeah.
updating federal language.
Right, yeah. And then in the regulations, they changed the address because
Yes.
they, eliminated half of the Office of Civil Rights business locations. There were, I think there were 10, now there are 5.
Yeah,
So we went from Boston to DC for our closest one. And the gender identity, pregnancy, sexual orientation are all under Title IX. So there was a change there. So really the biggest change
That's
is
why they were all deleted, is because they're
because they're all in Title IX.
Mm-hmm.
So so really the biggest changes were that bias language and then the inclusion of sexual assault and human trafficking as protected classes.
um,
And that's for all 3 of them.
yeah.
Is that under the regulation or is it just under the policy?
It's under both. Those changes, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're under both. And then they also added alleged under the complaint in front of everything.
yeah.
So these are really just all, except for that paragraph on bias, these are all legal changes
Yeah.
from legal updates.
So I think then we'll add in the bias conduct language and then move it forward
Mhm.
to the board.
Okay, so we'll do community, students, and personnel. Okay. We're cruising right along here.
Yeah,
Well, I figured field trips might take a little while. Or I don't know, maybe not. The field trips was next, and there was a page for considerations for revision, so I don't know if you want to speak to it.
So I went, I do think this policy needs updating.
Yeah,
Definitely. So I went to the shipment policy and, actually the shipment doesn't have one, the CABE policy, to see what they have, and they have a pretty lengthy, sample on all the different things that you should consider in field trip policy. So what I did is I created the, just things that we should talk about putting in, which is, let me just pull it up.
it's up the list.
It's the separate
Yeah.
list.
there's,
Considerations to revisions for field trip policy.
it looks like this.
So it's up there now. Let me share it for people online. So things, we could probably just go one by one.
Yeah.
I think it might be good for us to distinguish the difference between athletic events, extracurricular activities, and field trips. They are very different things.
They might have different, I'm assuming, requirements,
Mhm.
like, you know, if your kid's on the basketball team, you don't need a permission slip every time they have a game that's
Right.
away versus a field trip. So like different
Mhm.
requirements, I was thinking in that sense. So I
Yeah.
think that makes sense.
And that was, so we could just do a quick definition of what the difference between athletic event, extracurricular activities, and field trips, which I think would be pretty straightforward. Number two, clarifying language that field trips serve an important purpose in enhancing the value of in-class instruction and are connected to the regional school district. It should say 13 curriculum.
Okay.
Adding a statement that part of approval includes checking with the director of finance to see if district insurance is adequate to cover the trip or if additional insurance will be purchased through the trip partner.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not in there now. So, yeah,
Should they
and
also,
Kim went through these too.
Okay.
So,
and are they checking with her now in terms of like budget?
yes. Mhm,
Okay,
Yeah,
and is that in there currently that they check with her for that?
I think that's in the regulations.
Oh, okay, you know what? Oh, yeah, hold on, I do have regulations. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Okay,
And
Yeah.
using the word is adequate to cover the trip, it would include all three of the breakdowns,
Right.
athletic, extracurricular. and
Right, and this policy really should be just for field trips. So like we have other things in our athletic handbook that goes with those and everything. And then we also have different things where extracurricular activities and co-curricular things are when there's transportation, that's in a different place. So we really just want this to focus on field trips.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, all right. Got it.
Okay. Establish criteria for selecting chaperones and alignment to volunteer background check, and that really should just be like cross-reference the policy. Define ratio of adults to students by level per trip, and I do think that would be a good thing to have as a minimum. And then I would also recommend probably putting in a specific ratio if they're on the water or like that they need a lifeguard for certain number of
Okay.
students.
wow.
And kind of the ratio would depend on where they're going as well.
Right, right.
That, I mean, there was just that tragedy last week too with the
Yeah.
trip in the water.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Criteria to decide when a nurse is required or not required on a trip. So I think we should just have some overall criteria when a nurse actually, sends medication, or like at Camp Jewel. They have a nurse who is near Camp Jewel who goes every morning to do checks and medication every day. This year, we've been told that there are some students that have some higher needs, so we're looking for a nurse to actually just go on the trip, so. But I don't think it should I think we need some specific criteria
Yeah.
that we can just outline, if we have this level of student, even one, or if we have this many students that have any medical needs, that we should consider sending a nurse.
And can we maybe going off of that, and maybe it's in here currently, so I apologize, that is like, then if we're not sending a nurse, making sure that someone is certified to administer medications,
Yep.
like an EpiPen or, the, what are they
Glucagon.
called? Well, I was just thinking like emergent
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
drugs,
Yeah. We can add that in. I believe that might be someplace else, but I'm gonna check. But yeah, we
Yeah.
should have that in. And technically, anybody can, like a staff member can administer meds, like, so a principal or a teacher can administer meds if they need to. Under certain circumstances, like there are some that obviously you actually have to have a nurse doing it, but the big one is like with Camp Jewel, we're not allowed to send multiple days of medication out. Because that's considered illegal dispensing.
Yeah,
So that's why they have to have somebody actually come every day and to have a nurse actually dispense those meds every day.
So if we had a kid that wanted to go on a field trip to France
Mhm.
that needed daily medication, he probably couldn't go.
I don't know. I mean, I think we'd have to see what the meds were, what the care plan is.
Yeah,
We'd have to see if there's a place there that
we could
could
ship.
do it. We could ship and then somebody could dispense there. I mean, I hate to think of somebody missing out on it for
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
So, but we would just want to make sure that we're doing it right.
Yeah.
That we can't just. We can't just say, here's your pill bottle and put them on a plate.
Because we're gonna go to China,
Mhm,
we didn't have, they were gonna stay in somebody's house,
mhm,
so we had no control over that.
mhm.
and I was thinking like then on the other end, like where someone might have a seizure disorder, but can go on a trip, but they carry their emergency like pen with them,
Right.
like that, someone really does need to be trained
Yep.
to
Mhm.
do. So like,
And then
You
they
know,
have
does
to even
that-
get to the hospital.
yeah, so like then does that like warrant, or, someone might be able to get trained like beforehand,
Right.
it's not
Mhm. Yeah.
usually like,
Mhm.
it should be, but. So yeah, I think kind of like.
Yeah.
Defining the medical necessities.
Yep.
Of the trip,
By student,
yeah, I mean,
I think we have to
Yeah.
know if the student's going that has some kind of,
Well, we
Sure.
do that. So the school nurses already get a list of who's going on the field trip, and if anybody has anything, then there's a care plan. So
Mhm.
that's already in place.
okay,
Yeah.
This would really just be for the multi-day, overnight away
Yeah.
kind of things that we'd have to decide on.
okay. All right, so yes.
The next one is addition of behavior language. So the administration reserves the right to deny participation for any student on an overnight field trip based on a record of inappropriate behavior and or poor attendance pattern. So we very occasionally have to do this for like the Washington DC trip.
Mhm.
Sometimes there are students who have an infraction before then, they don't get to go.
sometimes we sent them home.
Sometimes they've been sent home. We try in every case for the students to experience the field trip, no matter what. So, if there's a younger child and they've been having behavior things, they might need alternative transportation, or we might ask a parent to be the chaperone to go with them. We could ask, for an additional para support, like those kind of things. So we try to make sure that everybody can have the opportunity. This one is really for the intentional misbehaviors where the staff or person in charge of the field trip actually just does not feel like it's safe for that person to attend
Mhm.
based on behavior. So we did leave this just as overnight, because I think we already do whatever we can to make sure that kids can still experience them, because if it is the kind of field trip that we need and that we want to have, it is going to be connected to the curriculum, and we don't want them to miss out on it. It's like telling them they have
Yeah.
missing instruction.
Yeah. And I think, well, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, like, I remember the trip, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm like having such like brain farts today. The trip, Sturbridge Village.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
like, I remember like when Mackenzie was going, like they were a little concerned about like her on the bus and everything, but they were like, they kind of figured out the transportation, they had like a para,
Right.
it's part of the curriculum, and it was all fine. It would be very different if like she was going on the Iceland trip. I'd be like, yeah, no, probably not. Like, I think so sometimes also, I think working collaboratively with parents.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have addition of language regarding transportation. So all field trips shall use school contracted bus services unless a charter has been approved in the field trip approval process. No student shall be permitted to transport themselves to or from any school-sponsored field trip or activity. In rare cases with extenuating circumstances, parents, guardians may drive students with prior approval from the building principal.
That, if they're gonna go to an airport, we're probably not taking kids to the airport.
We take a bus to the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they went to Disney, they all get on a bus and go to the airport.
Well, when they went going to Iceland,
I think they did. I thought I remember seeing some cute pictures of them standing outside the bus.
I don't know if
Waving
that
to
was the
their
bus
parents.
in Iceland or not. I'm not sure. I know parents did a pickup. Like the
Okay, yeah.
parents did the pickup, but I'm not sure how they
Maybe.
actually got to the
I feel
airport.
like they took like a little coach bus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong. And maybe it was,
well, I think it's something we ought to know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna go if the kids are expected to be at the airport at a certain time,
Mhm.
yeah,
unless we're gonna provide buses.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also the only other thing I was thinking with this too is like I was thinking about Camp Jewel,
Mhm.
where some kids just go for the day.
Yeah.
And they don't spend the night, so the parents will pick them up.
Mhm.
So that kind of like, I think a little bit contradicts this, but like, like they're still participating. I think there's something though, like then they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
go the next
It says you can have prior approval.
Yeah. So there's always, I think there's always exceptions, where there's legitimate reasons. And I'm just they did take a bus to and from the airport because I remember Principal Stone telling me that they were 2 hours late because of an accident on the highway. So they were sitting
Oh,
on the bus on the highway and then parents picked up here.
okay.
So one of the things in the field trip philosophy basically is that all trips start and end from here.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
Way to put it.
I think it was a very late night from what I remember.
Oh, nothing worse than like traveling from afar and then
Mhm.
having to deal with that.
RSD cannot be 13, I forgot the 13, cannot be responsible for trips planned by local organizations or businesses. These are not school-sponsored trips and need to clearly distinguish themselves as non-school activities. I don't even know how I want to work that one in, but there are a lot of things that the kids do in connection to school. We just sort of want to make sure that it's clear to parents what is a school-sponsored field trip and what is not.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That one's not that big of a deal, but just some language on the forms or something.
Yeah, I mean, if the baseball team wants to go to a dinner,
Mhm.
it's not really,
It's not a field trip,
yeah,
a school-sponsored field trip.
Yeah.
yeah.
The Board of Education cannot guarantee refunds for field trip costs and recommends that parents, guardians purchase trip insurance when available. So if they're using a tour company, they'll usually offer that, and then it's up to the parents to decide if they want to get it or not. The school is actually really good. Like I know that it's happened twice already on the DC trip, and then there was the Iceland trip, is that they wound up having overpayments and then they just take the rest and they refund it, divide it in families and refund it. So the school's been really good about returning any additional money that's remaining.
Unlike some other people.
Yes, that's true. Alternative transportation, more on that later. Alternative transportation and or activities on field trips may be planned in order to meet individual student needs. So again, just like things that you're talking about, if we're gonna make something work, we might need a different kind of bus, we might need a different kind of chaperone situation, something, but we want to make it work. I do think number 12 should be in there, which is on a school-sponsored field trip, all students and staff are expected to adhere to current RSD 13 policies and handbook guidance.
Yep.
And administrators will coordinate with their school cafeteria personnel in advance of all field trips in order to arrange free and or reduced meals when required. That was something that also came up in our food service audit. That we need to make sure that if somebody is entitled to a free lunch, that we plan ahead for field trips and then, they can take a lunch with them.
That makes sense.
And we also want to add that we have the right to cancel trips.
Yeah.
If something comes up.
So you're gonna, if this is okay, you're gonna incorporate all that into the,
Yeah, I didn't want to put it all in there because I wanted you to just be able to talk about it and I wanted to see what your thoughts are on what should or should not go in.
How are we gonna talk about the ratio of adults to students?
Mhm.
That's.
Gabe has a suggestion for that.
Yeah.
And I can work with the principals to see what the numbers are. So they suggest that elementary is 5-1, secondary is 10-1. And overnight is 8 to 10 to 1. And that anything on a body of water has a certain number of lifeguards, depending on how many kids are going.
Like Camp Jewel has,
Mhm.
do they have a lifeguard there? Do you know?
That's actually, I was gonna say, are they ever going somewhere like, so using Camp Jewel as the example? And they have water there where the kids might either be
Well, they're.
kayaking or
Using
swimming.
kayaks, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So does Camp Jewel provide a lifeguard or do we have to think about providing a lifeguard?
I think we have to check, because I
Yeah.
actually don't know if they do, but I think that's something, especially with recent events, I
Yeah.
think we need to look at what's there. They may have counselors that are also lifeguard trained, that's a possibility that they double up.
Yeah, I guess depending on what the ratio ends up being for that too, we might have to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I just wonder then, do we add something that says if water activities are involved, we also evaluate if the place provides a lifeguard, and if not, do we need to provide a lifeguard, just like a nurse?
I mean, I hate to say this because I hate thinking about it, but drowning is still the number one cause of death,
Yeah.
for kids. And,
Yeah.
we do take kids on and around water.
Yeah. No, and it's like really sad what just happened, so.
So I'll put lifeguard language in there and I'll see if Kate they don't have a specific number for lifeguards, but I'll see if they have a recommendation.
Yeah,
And it could also just be something on the field trip approval form. If it's gonna be on water, does the place have lifeguards or do we have to provide them?
Yeah, it was going on ferry to Pinwell Islands,
Mhm.
which they do, there's no lifeguard.
Right,
yeah,
but if they're going kayaking,
Yeah.
or actually just swimming.
Yeah, they're on an organized boat.
Yeah.
It would be different, I think.
Mhm.
yeah. And at least usually with those two, like they're going over the safety of the boat,
Yeah.
and like where the life jackets are,
Life jacket.
but if they're just like at like a lake, I don't know, like. That would make me a little nervous.
Mhm.
How does that impact things like trips to Iceland or something where there might be a body of water to visit? Probably not in Iceland, but
Right, nothing that you would want to go in.
yeah.
I think they need to-
Costa Rica or something.
Yeah, they go to Costa Rica quite often.
Yeah,
Uh,
so,
Yeah, or it could be language that, if they're in Costa Rica, they have to go to a beach that has a lifeguard.
yeah.
Yeah.
we have to see the itinerary.
Yep.
To make sure
Yeah.
that there's.
Okay.
I almost got carried away by a riptide with my son in Dominican Republic. It was terrifying, and it
Yes.
happened so fast,
Mhm.
it still gives me chills a little bit
Yeah.
how fast it can happen.
It really, the first time my husband was on a South Shore beach on Long Island, like in the Hamptons, I said to him, gotta watch the undertow, you're not on the sound, and he was like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Nope, yeah.
Yeah.
Lifeguard went in and they were, again, thank heaven
Yeah.
they were fine, but
Yeah.
you don't realize how quick it can happen
Yeah,
and
plus
the
that-
pull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Along the coast of Long Island, there's lots of stuff. happens,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. No, that's why I can't swim.
You don't swim,
No, I know it's swim. Nope.
you can't swim or you don't swim.
Both. I can barely swim. I had a very traumatic childhood experience that we blame my father for. But we can get into that in a therapy session one day.
Yeah, I'll work in water language, water safety,
Yeah.
lifeguard,
Yeah.
life
I
jackets,
think that's
wrecking.
important.
Yeah, I think that would be good,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think the kids ought to announce the requirement that they provide us any health-related issues like
Yeah.
allergies and stuff like that.
Well, we do know that because we know that through the nurse. So we're good with that.
Yeah, like with the forms we
Yep.
fill out.
Mhm.
Should we ask if they know how to swim?
Uh,
Can we ask?
Well, I guess maybe on a permission form,
Yeah.
if it was something that,
You're gonna be in the
you know,
water.
there were gonna be, there were gonna be water activities. I mean, I guess in theory, like a parent could like say, like, I opt out
Right.
of my child participating in the water activities.
Yeah.
So
Well,
when my school in New Hampshire was in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, so we actually at school had all of our PE classes in grade 1 went to a pool and they learned how to swim. So like our goal in the school was that absolutely every kid would be able to swim by the time they finished first grade.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool. That's
yeah,
I don't know, is there a pool
you
around
could
here?
have to have a field trip to HK.
HK,
Yeah.
that's one, yeah. That's- I think I learned how to swim there.
Mhm.
I don't know if that would work with me.
Yeah, actually, Maloney High School does swim lessons for special needs kids there, like sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we can
that's
add, like, if you're near a body of water, does your child know how to swim?
Yeah.
Or are they strong, like, they could confident or
Yeah.
new beginner or something?
Should there, like, is there anything about like, notice of field trips, just like they should really try to, I don't know if things happen last minute, but should we say really like all field trips need to be submitted like 30 days in advance?
I think they are supposed to be 30 days.
Okay.
The board is
Board has
90
that.
days.
So they,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
How is it 10 days?
Principal is 10 days. The board, I think, was or out of something. Oh, that must have been in the cave one. The cave one said 90 days for board approval for overnight or out of state trips.
Yeah.
That makes sense because there is no board meeting every 10 days usually.
Right.
yeah,
For people.
Usually.
lately.
Or 3 annual meetings.
I thought it had to be longer than that for the longer trips.
Well, the longer trips are really planned a year ahead of
Yeah.
time, so we
We
have
need to
plenty of
receive them
notice.
later.
Yeah, 45 days prior to the day of the trip or 90 for anything that includes air travel. Okay.
And
We do have the big France and Spain trip coming up next year. And there are, I think, over 50 students who are signed up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That was big.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's nothing really to move forward here.
I'll
We
have
could
to
just-
work everything in that we talked about, and then when the board sees it, I could do I could bring it back here so you can see the changes to the next policy
Yeah.
meeting, or I can just do them and move them to a first reading for the board, whichever way you want to do it.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of changes and maybe we should bring it back
Bring
to
it
the
back.
policy first.
yeah, I think.
Just because it's, it's not like, oh, we're just gonna add in a paragraph. I think this is gonna be like. a
It'll be
big
more
change.
expensive.
Yeah.
And I actually, I'm glad that you brought this one forward as a suggestion, because it definitely needed some
Yeah,
revision.
well, I think we'll get a lot of input on it too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People will pay attention to this one.
Mhm. Okay, all right,
Christine, as the policy chair,
yes.
this Meg, I love Meg. Meg went through any legal updates from the last time that the board did the policy, any legal changes.
Okay.
So I'm sort of working off this list of the
Okay.
ones that we need to get through. So that's your copy.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right, thanks.
We can just choose which ones we want to do bit by bit.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
You found all these changes already?
Well, so Shipman will send out a policy update because of, legislative changes. And then what she did is she took all of those and then just wrote down the last time that our policy was revised. So if the changes were after the last revision, they made it onto this list, meaning that we need to do something.
Because we went through everything and they had it in the book.
I know, and these are all new updates. There's been a very active legislation in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're in good shape generally with policies. I mean, My last district, I'd pull up policies and the last date was
A while.
1991 or something. Yeah, so we're good,
We've been working on it for at least a few years.
really good.
Going right.
Yeah, we had,
Yeah.
at least everything is 24, 25, I think,
Okay.
most of them.
Mhm. Oh, and I can actually cross off graduation. I did that one.
All right. Well, there's no public comment.
If you have any,
Present, but
if you have any,
online.
there is one person online. If you have any
Mhm.
comments, please raise your hand, or if you'd like to say anything. Seeing none.
Okay. All right, well then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
No,
moved.
Yeah.
second?
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know. All in favor? Aye.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
While you're here, we have to have
Hold on.
a,
Sure we're off.